Oh, that's better. Can't even hear the music in the background. Is there music in the background? I don't even know. How is everyone? You'll have to tell me if you can hear music in the background, because I can't. Let me see if I can unplug and then plug back in. What's going on here? Don't know what's going on there. I don't know what's going on. It won't fast forward, you cheeky bugger. What's going on there? Can you even hear music in the background? Sound and music on. Why can't I hear the bloody music? Ah, that's why. See, I'd turn the music off for me. We need to shut that one up. What's going on here? Let's turn that one on, that one on. That's better. Technical hitch. So, how is everyone? I hope you are all well. It's 2024. The first live of 2024. Let me bring this chat over. I've got chat over there in front of me. I thought, you know what? I'm going to set everything up. So I've got all of the chat in front of me. Little did I remember that I seem to be partially sighted. And that writing's tiny. Like, really tiny. Relaxing, but yeah, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna put some relaxing background music on. Let's have a look and see who's in. Who we got? What we got? Kristen in the mods. We've got Superior Dreams. We've got My May. We've got Jen. Plants are my jam. And who else we got? Tracy. I may have already said Tracy. My brain isn't brilliant. And we had Dope in earlier. I don't know whether Dope is still in. What the flipping heck happened there? See, I've got sound effect panels on there, but I haven't labelled them yet, so I can't even use them. You like the old fire roaring in the background? Bit of a fake one. I turned the other one off because it looked like if the house was actually burning down. I thought you can have too much fire, apparently. So, did everyone have a good Christmas and New Year? Let's have a look. Can't see far without glasses, and to read I have to take the glasses off. Oh my god, it's a pain. I've got chat here as well. I might be able to actually move that. Hello, Grey Wolf Paranormal. Hello there. Hello. Check out Kaylee's private driver. This case is driving me up the wall. Up the wall. Chasing ghosts, not guilty, but put himself in a position to be an easy scapegoat. That was my feelings. That's something that I have considered. At the end of the day, I think it's quite easy to be put in a position where it's very hard for you to get yourself out. Hello, Dixie. I'm working, but I'm listening. Sorry. Do not worry, Dixie. Do not worry. Real life before online life. Always. I'm trying to keep an eye on I don't know how far this chat is behind. How far is that behind? I don't even know if that one is behind or that one's quicker. Hope everyone is having a great New Year. Philip, you too, my friend. You too. Dope as well. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone had a great day back at work or school after the break. The high schools are back tomorrow. The junior schools went back today. But yeah, our older one, she goes back to school tomorrow, and she is really looking forward to that. And I'm really looking forward to getting up with her in the morning just to see the excitement in her twinkling little eyes as she is going to be really pleased. Yes, not. So, I suppose the big talking point at the moment is seemingly the demolition of 1122 King Road. It finally happened. They finally got their way. The university decided that the house had to go for healing. For healing, it's all about the healing. We need to heal and grow, heal and grow. They're going to build some memorial garden. So you remove the house because you want people to move on and heal and grow, but then you stick a remembrance garden in there so everyone remembers the tragedy that happened, pretty much the same as the house. Apart from you can't get evidence off a garden. You can only get evidence off a house. There you go. What do we think to that? We're going to touch on something in a minute about the 3D imaging, the newest report on the 3D imaging. I find that quite funny. By funny, I mean not funny. Does Harsh believe Kohberger was innocent or just playing to ratings? Do I believe he's innocent? So this, the truth, if you've been around the channel long enough, you will know that I don't know whether he's innocent or guilty. That is not the point, the purpose whatsoever. The point and purpose in here is about me not personally believing that we, the public, have seen enough evidence to convict him. But yet there is a massive community online who feel otherwise. They feel that there is enough, and not only is there enough, that they have continued to character assassinate. They have continued to call him anything from narcissist to sexist to bully to cannibal. Yes, that's right, cannibal. We've gone down that route as well. And I'm just balancing the scale. Am I here just for the money? Well, if I was just here for the money, you see that little banner across the bottom of the screen? That would have Cash App, Venmo, Buy Me a Coffee. It would have anything to do with donating money. But what we do say here is, I don't want your money. I don't want you to donate. I don't want you to have to stare at banners asking you to pay. And I always say to people, with regards and respect of the Idaho 4 content, do not donate. So in answer to your question, fuck off. Anywho, I hope that answered your question. Iris caught alive. Hello, Iris. It's good to see you here. Good to have you. And we've got Kayak Dread Girl. Super chat, thank you very much. Good to catch you on a live, Harsh. Happy New Year to you and the fam. Thank you very, very much. And that is the same to you and yours. So, I got a thumbs down. That's not nice. That's someone who don't like swear and, yeah, Harsh. You can't walk into a pub and complain they serve alcohol. Remember that. Don't come to a Harsh channel and get upset because it's harsh. But that wasn't on the bingo card. Dope Soul is 2024. Trust me, get it on there. Because I've just been warming up. 2023 was about, you know, getting our groove on. It was, you know, it was about warming up. And 2024 is going to be about pushing forward and saying what needs to be said when it needs to be said. What do we got? I'm going to go through some comments and bring them up and address some of the comments that we've got first, and then we're going to have a look at these two news reports based on the demolition, and just dive into that a second. And ultimately, we're talking about Bryan Kohberger. Is he innocent? Is he guilty? And how people feel. And you know, I have consistently said to people and challenged people, please do, if you feel that Bryan Kohberger is indeed guilty. I understand that, because there will be, of course there is. But please tell us why. And I challenge you to, when you say, this is why I believe Bryan Kohberger is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, to give us a reason that didn't come from the likes of News Nation or Dateline. That's all I ask. If you've looked at specific things in the PCA, for instance, or the court documentation, or you know something that we perhaps don't know, and that's why you believe he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt as of now. Like I say, I'm not against the fact that when the trial progresses, that they will indeed prove it. And if he's in there and he has now been incarcerated for a year, I do really hope that they can prove it, and they can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, because it would be a lot more sad if he is innocent and he's been inside for a year. And not only that, but the online community have completely destroyed him and he didn't deserve it. Okay? So there we go. But, so we'll go through. Hello, the Evil CJ Show. Hello, my friend. How are you? I hope you are good, and I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. And I hope you have plenty planned for us in 2024. Did you know what? I was looking at that Detective John. He does some lives, doesn't he? I think he done one the other night that was like 11 hours. 11 hours. 11 hours live. That's crazy. 11 hours. It's red hot where his car... Let's have a look. It's red hot where his car was driving and phone pings and knife sheath. I mean sheet. What you've got to remember, though, Eli, I'll address these one piece at a time. Phone pings. The phone pings, we don't know anything about phone pings. The actual phone data is purely telling us that at the time that these crimes happened, his telephone wasn't transmitting to a tower. And that can happen for multiple reasons. Is it coincidental that his phone happened to not be transmitting around this time? Of course it is. It is. But then you have to know beyond a reasonable doubt that the crime took place at the time with which it's being pushed. And this is why I'm bringing out a short video tomorrow for you to kind of speak about and think about. Because we, as people watching this crime, what you've got to imagine is the law enforcement are trying to push that Bryan Kohberger did this crime, and he may have well done. But that means that they're trying to fit all these pieces together. So Bryan Kohberger's car not transmitting to a tower, a white Hyundai Elantra being in this area at a specific time. But then we hear Ann Taylor stating that Bryan Kohberger wasn't in the area at the time of which the crime took place. So you have to consider, how can they prove that the crime took place at the time it did, when early on it was reported that this crime had happened earlier. Kathy Mabbott had stated that this crime happened, originally between 2 and 3, then 3 and 4, then we have 4 and 4:30. And that time frame starts to narrow and box things in, and that's where you get problems. So with regards to phone pings, there isn't really any phone pings, and we know that the way that triangulation works on these towers, there isn't anything that pings him in that area at the time the crime took place. So the phone pings is going to be a difficult one. It doesn't so much prove anything. You talk about his car. So they have to prove that it is his car. And we haven't seen the proof yet that it is his car. We have seen a picture of a car that could very well be a white Hyundai Elantra. It could be. But it's not definitive proof that it's his. And it isn't currently definitive proof that it is indeed a white Hyundai Elantra matching Bryan Kohberger's. And again, reports that were released publicly would state that they were looking for a car that didn't match his. So again, it's arguable. But again, there could later on be further camera footage that nails that car to the ground and says, what I'm talking about though is currently, as we stand here from a public perspective, is there enough evidence to show that that car is Bryan Kohberger's? Have we seen a picture that clearly shows Bryan Kohberger driving it, for instance? Have we seen a picture that shows the rear plate and it's been matched with Bryan Kohberger, for instance? No, we haven't. We've just seen, I believe, one still shot of a car going in the opposite direction that resembles heavily a white Hyundai Elantra that could be anything from 2011 to 2017. And the knife sheath. Yes, the knife sheath is the most compelling, but ultimately it's also the biggest trip hazard for the prosecution, because what can sometimes look like an ace in the hole can be the thing that's easiest to argue. At the end of the day, it just means that unless someone wants to turn around and say that knife sheath, the evidence was planted, which sadly, historically, these things happen, and can the defense argue that there was enough pressure on law enforcement to perhaps fabricate evidence? Has it happened in the past? Yes, it has, and they would likely be able to bring cases forward where this has happened. But ultimately, as well, we have to consider that the DNA got on that sheath beforehand. And you also have to consider how much of an idiot Bryan Kohberger must have been if it was his DNA. Because not only are we saying that Bryan Kohberger purchased a knife and sheath from Amazon to commit a murder, but he handled it without protecting himself, and it got his DNA on it. You know, it's a lot of things, but I can see that this is most likely the list that you've put here, and it's the interpretation of that list. Do everybody interpret that list the same? Do they see the knife sheath and do not see any holes in it? Do they see that one picture of the car and feel that that is definitive proof that that is Bryan Kohberger's car? Completely forgetting that there are an abundance of these cars and very similar looking cars in this area. But I'll go back into comments. I do apologize. I got off on a bit of a tangent there, didn't I? Wrong on the car. Gray says it's a match. Oh, well, was he in the back of the car? I'm guessing that it's, if Gray says it's definitely a match, then it's definitely a match. I stand corrected. That's the thing about us in England, our sarcasm. You have to kind of learn to spot it. But yes, if Gray says it's the right car, then it must be. What do we got? What else have we got? Who did it then? Baby girl? Good question. Who did it then? And I've touched on this before. We don't know. And that's not for us to determine, is it? It's not for us to determine. Obviously, if Bryan didn't do it, someone else did. But there's more than that, isn't there? There's caveats to that. Did Bryan drive someone and did someone else do it who Bryan was driving? Who knows? But my argument isn't this, and people kind of try and go beyond what I'm saying. I'm trying to say that the evidence that is out in the public, in my opinion, is not enough to convict Bryan beyond a reasonable doubt. And that seems to be what people struggle with. And that's all my point is. My point, how would you feel if your child was in this position? Your child, for instance, had said, Mum, I didn't do it. And the evidence that we have in the public is the only evidence that exists to say that your child did it. And everybody's online and they're convicting your child and pushing them towards the firing squad. And no one will listen. No one cares. They've just got this evidence and they're not willing to listen to anything else. Nothing. It's done. It's a done deal. Sold. How would you feel then? How would you feel if you had skin in the game and it was your child who was facing the firing squad potentially and they had told you they didn't do it? And like I say, all you could see was this. Would you be happy? Would you be willing to say, look, son, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, son. Or daughter even. Because girls are just as capable of doing this. Let's not consider that if Bryan Kohberger didn't do it, that the only other person who could have done it was a male, because that's garbage. But there we go. What else we got? What else we got? I get your sarcasm, Harsh. I'm from Scotland. I definitely agree with you. Not enough evidence. And that's it. You know, like I say, I believe that there is a potential that more evidence could come out. I believe that there is a potential this is a trial by ambush. My only thoughts and feelings is that Bryan seems ultimately confident. And I know he's kind of walking that fine line between confidence and arrogance. But some people will turn around and they'll say, Bryan Kohberger, he's a narcissist. He done this, he wanted to get caught. Well, if he wanted to get caught, why didn't he want to rush to trial? Why did he allow his defense attorney to delay this trial indefinitely? Why has he allowed them to, or was going and willing to allow them to remove cameras so no one got to see what happens? That's not narcissistic. Not at all. That's completely the opposite. What else have we got? They have so much more that we don't know. If he was innocent, he would have an alibi. Shall we go through this comment? Because this is a comment that comes up a lot, right? They have so much more that we don't know. That is a hope. That's what we hope. And by hope, again, as aforementioned, I do hope you're right. But you can't say that because you don't know. You are... And this is the difference, you see. This is what I'm talking about between convicting someone now and having an open mind and waiting until the trial. Because what you've said there, they have so much more that we don't know. You don't know that. That is you speculating that they have more. And yes, you could be right. And I hope you're right. I do hope you're right, because I would hate for Bryan Kohberger to get convicted and executed purely on what we see now. And they just make a good play, they make a good case, and the rest is history. If he was innocent, he would have an alibi. Why would he? Why would he have an alibi? What is there? How is it so difficult to understand that he's driving around? He's driving around at night. You know, like Jeffro just said back up here, he said he does have an alibi. Now, he was driving around. If they can prove that Bryan Kohberger was driving around, he was driving around not in this actual area, then it's a difficult one. The fact that he doesn't have a conventional alibi could be exactly why he's in the position he's in now. It could be. Let's not forget that we've been led to believe that Bryan Kohberger went into law enforcement to have a conversation that would last approximately 15 minutes. And there is no, I repeat, there is no recorded evidence of that taking place. Now, in a crime of this nature, name me another crime where they interviewed the prime suspect and there is no record of that conversation. A conversation that would lead to him being charged. Now, I believe, based on that alone, this is me speculating, this is me just kind of playing in my mind how that goes. And I could be wrong, again, spitballing, Bryan Kohberger goes into law enforcement because he's got a bit of a relationship with them. He had been to them, he felt he knew them, he'd tried to go and work for them, they seemingly got along. He goes in and he has a conversation. They know his car, they know, you know, the fact that he drives a white Hyundai Elantra, so on and so forth, and they ask him, what was you doing? And he is honest. I was driving around. Do you have anybody to corroborate what you was doing? No, I was driving around on my own. I do this regularly. I do it frequently. I frequent this area. In fact, I've driven over to here several times of an evening. Before you know it, you're fucked. Now, am I right in understanding that many of you guys from the United States would say to me, and we've had this conversation, if you are in this situation, you would never speak to law enforcement without first getting legal assistance, you know, getting legal representation. And we know that the surviving roommates got legal representation. Bryan Kohberger did not get legal representation. He had a conversation, and that conversation led to where he is today. That's all I say. And ex-con's thoughts with A.R. Hayes. Hello, my friend. Hello. I hope you're well, my friend. I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. We have, he seems defeated in court to me. Again, I think people see different interactions and they read into it differently. I think that if you consider that he's been incarcerated for a year now, it will take its toll on him to a degree. You know, he's probably not eating as well as what he should. He's obviously not interacting with people and getting, it's not a good situation to be in. So it's going to have a negative effect on him. But under the circumstances, I think that he is still looking confident. I still think that he is looking a lot better than I would. But what else we got? Let's have a look. Go through these comments. I do apologise that I'm missing a few of the comments. We'll go through some of the comments in a bit. Let's have a look. I also think that it's not a huge amount of time, 12 in 5 months, to be near the university, seeing as he works for the other university. Perhaps he had business class dealings library there. And again, you're right. I don't think that there's anything. The only thing that makes that nefarious is the fact that he is in the position he's in, so they can strip that back and add it to a list of circumstantial evidence. This is a guy that went to this area 12 times and it happened to be in the evening. I'd say if he went there, say, 14 times in the 14 days leading up to when this happened, and each of those times was around 4 o'clock in the morning, that would be different. But we haven't been told that. Grace, no proof BK was by 1122. Pings are worthless. Freaking tower is 10 miles away and has a very large radius. Let's have a look. Wayne M. I think they will have him, especially when you look at what they can do with vehicle data and app data. I personally think that it will be digital evidence. Don't think they have physical evidence. I do agree with you to a certain extent there, Wayne. It does confuse me slightly that in terms of the vehicle, that there isn't been a burglar report mentioned. I'm sure that at that age of vehicle would certainly be able to produce quite a lot of data. People seem to think that that's not the case, but I've looked into Burla's database and that car is in the database. So they will be able to get some data off that. What do you make of him following the 3 girls and DM'd one of them? Again, this is stuff that has not been proven. This is stuff that's been pushed out by unconfirmed sources. So in answer to that, there is no proof of that. Did it happen? We don't know. Again, this is a piece of evidence, if you like, that would need to be brought up in court and stated that it's accurate. Please deposit your DNA on the like button, and a court-appointed attorney will be appointed to you. Do you think Bryan knows there are people like us who question his guilt and the evidence? I don't know. I don't know whether he would have them conversations. It might be that him and Ann Taylor have discussions about how the public is receiving this case. That may have been it may have been why he was okay with the cameras not being in the courtroom. Do you know what I mean? If he was told that, the public were basically crucifying him and it could only get worse. How do you leave no evidence on that bloodbath? I don't know. Again, this is something that it's possible to do. It certainly is possible to do. If he had prepped himself correctly and practiced and had the skill to do it, it's not impossible for him to do. But all of these things that he then has to do and has to do in that amount of time then further pushes the question as to, had he done this before? Was this truly his first rodeo? Because there's a lot of things for him to do if he'd never done it before. You know, like I say, if it weren't for the sheath, would they have caught him? Would they have caught him? Courtney McCain, do you think BF and BK could have been on the down low? The DL? I don't know. I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. Like the exculpatory evidence situation, I don't know what that is. Whether that is Ann Taylor playing the system a little bit because she knows that there is no statement from Bethany Funk within the PCA, so she is kind of extrapolating on that situation and probably concluded that perhaps she has a different version of events or a different recollection of that night that would then directly conflict with what Dylan Mortensen has said. Who knows? She may have been fishing there. I believe there's a potential that was a fishing expedition. And you could argue that that was probably a fishing expedition that would have led to somewhere. Hence why the prosecution turned around and blocked it with the grand jury. What do we got? I'm still more on the side of innocent. That is Moonvale. Illuminati. It truly is like Moscow is a private arse bubble. Craziness never moving there. I definitely wouldn't be moving there. Definitely not. Definitely not. There are people in the UK like that, though. Good evening from Island Harsh. Is it true BK asked them if anyone else was arrested when he got arrested? The real answer to that question is who the fuck even knows? Personally, if I really had to answer that question, I don't believe he would have said it. It would have, in a way, been an admission of guilt to a degree, because you're almost saying, you've got me, did you get the others? So I don't personally think he did. It did come out fairly early. I can't remember who was the original person who said that. Someone in the comments may know. But the real answer to that is nobody knows, and I don't think he did. Personally, I don't think he did. Renee, finally caught alive. Woohoo. Thank you, Harsh. Your coverage is always on point. Most of the time. I get some things wrong, but again, at the end of the day, these are our thoughts and feelings, you know, and we can only go off what is out there. I'm just trying to balance the scales. Like I say, I just am a person who looks at what is out there in the public eye, and I'll call it out if I think it needs calling out, like the 8-hour time delay in contacting 911. I've always said that is something that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't sit right. It's, if that was my own children and they are in exactly the same situation, I would question them the same. I wouldn't give them a pass either. I don't feel that anybody should have a pass. And I certainly know that if them surviving roommates hadn't have been, you know, young female students, the sorority girls, I damn well fucking know that not so many people would give them a pass as they're given currently. I know it. Olivia, super sticker, thank you so much. That is very, very kind. Again, don't feel that you need to do that over here, guys. And Phantom67 has also gifted some memberships. Thank you very much, Phantom. That is very kind too. Lana, hey Sean, caught the live even though I'm late. Better late than never. Sometimes the people who come in late are the people who have the biggest impact on the party. Remember, fashionably late, as they say. They do in the UK anyway, not everywhere. Some places you're just late. But no, here we're sticking to fashionably late. Harsh, if you were Ann Taylor, how would you disprove the sheath and DNA? I think it's important to understand that it wouldn't be our job to disprove it. It would be the prosecution's job to 100% be able to show that Bryan Kohberger purchased that sheath, used that sheath, left that sheath. And that would have to be proven. There's plenty of arguments for it. You could argue that Bryan Kohberger could have touched someone who touched that at some point. He could have gone in and gone into a store and handled it. He could, it could have been planted. And I could pull up multiple cases where evidence has been planted and prove that Moscow PD were under a lot of pressure to get this case wrapped up quickly. The Phoenix University acquisition, for instance, worth $180 million. There would have been people who wanted this wrapped up, who wanted it done quickly, and there would have been an incentive there to get this done, to get it done quick. But, the DNA, it's one of them. You would have to allow them, the prosecution, to have their moment, to be able to show a chain of custody, if you like, for the sheath itself, where it came from, where it went, where it ended up, and leaving no spaces. And if there's any gaps in that, then that's where you latch onto it. You look at the Jill Dando case, look at the DNA evidence, the evidence that convicted the guy who was convicted for that and later got out because it was rubbish. It happens, and it happens in Idaho. There are cases in Idaho where DNA evidence has led to wrongful convictions and ended up them paying millions of dollars in compensation. Things happen. What do you got? Shuggy Sweets. Love your show. I've often wondered if the police car that stopped the boys on Banfield, it looks a lot like BK car, and the screeching tyres could be from someone picking up the two surviving roommates. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's one of them again where you think someone's done this crime, have done it in this, and they've driven this white Hyundai Elantra, for instance, has gone there. He's driven around, got caught on all the cameras. He's done the crime and then flew off down the road and made sure everyone heard him. It's like the idiot's guide to crime. Thank you very much, Lana. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Happy New Year to all the people who have come in and said Happy New Year, by the way. I do hope that everyone has a prosperous 2024. But anyway, so we have a quick look at this demolition of the house, and then we'll come back to this topic. We'll go through some of the comments again. But what am I doing here? We've got this. So, yeah, we've got the demolition, right? There's going to be some mixed feelings about this. We've obviously heard as well today that they've not only demolished this house, but they have buried it. That's right. If you haven't heard what has happened to it, yes, they have actually buried the house. And their excuse, I thought originally, when I heard that it had been buried, because I'd originally heard that the demolition had potentially been delayed due to potentially finding asbestos in the older parts of that structure. In the UK, if that happens, then that has to go to a specific landfill that allows for asbestos, thrown away there, and then it's buried there. So that's what I thought. I thought maybe they did actually find asbestos there, and they've taken it to a place and they've buried it for safety. But no, they've actually come out and said they're burying it because they feared people would take sections of the house and sell it. So there'd be little 1122 King Road memorabilia being auctioned off, perhaps on eBay. but buried it. Just when you think that things can't, it's like they do things to purposefully look sketchy. Like, they could have had all the best intentions in the world, but they've got to understand how that looks. You've got gag orders. There'll be a gag order, but they'll just release enough. They'll give you just enough information just to pepper the chips. And then it's like, all right, you've given us enough to spark all the rumors. But, it's crazy. Rumors are that JLR is dumpster diving in the landfill right now. That wouldn't even be surprised. So Moscow, the demolition of the house at 1122 King Road, Moscow, began today. The house where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered in November 22 was given to the university by the former property owners. University of Idaho has planned to demolish the house since it took ownership, but delayed those plans until today. I did show a video the other day of a short clip of the house coming down. It was sad. It was sad to see it coming down because I feel that was an injustice as such. I felt that, and some people say that the house isn't worth anything now. They'll say that it's a good thing that it's gone. Some people who even support Bryan and feel that Bryan Kohberger is innocent feel that this house it's positive that it's gone. I beg to differ. I do beg to differ because I feel that to be able to go into this house, the jury, if they could go in there and for them to understand what actually happened, to be able to stand in this place where this crime happened. And I understand why people believe that it would be bad for Bryan. And it's like what I've said to you guys before. When you go to court, it's like a sales pitch. People buy on how something makes them feel. We are emotional purchasers. If you go out and buy a car or a piece of furniture, women especially, you go out and buy something and it's how that makes you feel. And you'll notice how the realtors speak to you and they'll talk to you and they'll say, could you see yourself in the family all sitting around a table in this kitchen? Could you see that? Or they'll take you out to the garden and say, could you imagine all your children and your grandchildren running around? Can you imagine that? Because they want to sell that to you. That's what this house could have potentially done, and that's why people will turn around and say, that wouldn't be good for Bryan, to have them jurors in that house and be sold that story. But there is a flip side to that coin, and that is understanding there was people in this house who survived, and there were people in that house who took 8 hours to obtain assistance from law enforcement, who potentially were texting one another. Who knows? They may not have been, but were potentially texting one another and had decided not to reach out for help. And you have got a guy who's turning around and saying, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. So there's an argument either way, but ultimately I feel that for true justice, the house should have remained, because that house was absolutely 100% evidence in this case, like or not. But it's okay, because if we flip over to here, this is about the 3D imaging of the house where the 4 Idaho students were killed, how it works. There was a little video there of the house coming down. We're seeing that. Law enforcement is using 3D imaging to illustrate a crime scene and layout of the off-campus home where the 4 University of Idaho students were killed. And that could be the best case scenario for the upcoming murder trial, according to a forensics expert. The home at 1122 King Road was torn down Thursday despite objections from families of 2 of the victims. In a statement, the Goncalves family and Canodal family said it's important for a jury to be able to see the home and certain vantage points. Don't really understand what they were getting at by those statements, because if you actually look there, the vantage points would have potentially meant that there was other properties that would look at it. You know, the people, it's not hard to know that if a car's parked outside, they'll be able to see into the house. But who knows? Anyway, moving on. Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Canodal, Madison Mogan, and Ethan Chen were stabbed to death in their home on November 13th, 2022. Bryan Kohberger, 29, 19-year-old former Washington State University graduate student faces 4 counts of first-degree murder. Shannon Gray, an attorney representing the Goncalves family, said in a statement that the home is one of the most critical pieces of evidence in this case. The family started an online petition to protect the home, and more than 5,000 people signed. The house was donated to the university, which decided to demolish it to move forward with the healing process. Without protest from the defense or prosecution, the university said in a news release. Now, if I was Ann Taylor and I thought that the prosecution were happy to have that house knocked down, I would then reverse that and say, well, I want it up then. So I'd be thinking, if they're happy to knock it down and they don't feel they need it, then that's telling me something. Because they potentially feel that that house isn't going to do them any favours. So I absolutely believe that if the prosecution felt that that house was going to support their case, they would have fought to have that house remain. Unless they've got an ace in the hole, unless they genuinely do have a slam dunk with someone else, and they do 100% feel they do not need that house, then that would be telltale. And if I was Ann Taylor and I felt that, well, you haven't given me anything, we've asked for discovery, and we don't have it, and you're also now saying that you're okay with the house to go, fuck that, I'll keep it. Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, leading the Kohberger case, said in a December 22nd email that the home is so different than it was at the time of the homicide that a jury walkthrough would never be approved. He said investigators have gathered necessary measurements to create exhibits that should be admissible and help the jury. 3D virtual tour allowed jury to enter home, and it says Eugene Licio, a 3D forensics analyst, said a model of the home based on the FBI scans finished in October is just as good for the jury as a walkthrough. So if you read that and it says the FBI scans finished in October, but can you remember when they were going back into that property? And apparently they said that they were going into that property to obtain further measurements and scans. Well, apparently that was all done and finished in October, which would have meant that all of the data for that rendering would have been collected at the beginning of the year. Which we know that they went in there and they done LiDAR scans of the inside of that property back in January. So that would move in line with this. So I don't know what they were doing back in there just before this was knocked down, because apparently that was all done. So there was no reason for them to go in there. There was absolutely no reason. Bringing the jury to the home can be practical. Sometimes it's not, Licio said. But you can do all that with 3D Model 2. Which is absolute bullshit. You cannot at all make a true representation of that house that will allow the jury to walk through there as if they are walking through that house. You can't do it. It can't be done. Can't be done. There's so many nuances. There's so many things that are missing. The acoustics to enable people to be able to hear what it's like to be in there. It's not so much seeing things, it's hearing things. Hearing how this person moved through this house, moved through there silently, opened these doors silently, got in the sliding door silently, and nobody heard that sliding door. How many sliding doors have you tried to open and they make a screeching sound when you open it? Who knows? But did that door open silently and enable him to get in the sliding door? To the bedroom doors, were they locked? Did they have locks on? Did he boot the doors open? Or were the locks all... I can't answer that question, and no one can now. Licio has been a forensic analyst for 20 years. I'll get there in a minute. He has a background in aerospace engineering. Now he owns AI2 3D, a private company in Canada that contracts with law enforcement and sometimes with the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, or NCIS. This is an interesting bit. Licio said analysts are able to create a virtual tour for a jury so they can enter the home without actually doing so. It's a complete replica of the home, there are things you can do with the model you cannot do in real life. So there's things you can do with the model that you can't do in real life, but you don't want the model to do things that you can't do in real life because you want it to be a true representation, not a manipulation. This is like saying we can manipulate this to make it give us something that walking through that home wouldn't do. Well, then you're thinking, oh, so what you're saying then, you can manipulate this to show something to give it more oomph, if you like. Bloodstain analysis, bullet analysis, blood splatter analysis, those things to make it more impactual, I would say. But it's also possible, as Joe said, that the investigators in the Moscow homicide scanned the home and cut out walls for evidence to bring back with them and analyze in a lab. We know that they cut sections away. It says Alicio said the FBI uses 3D technology referred to as a terrestrial laser scanner. It stands on a tripod and spins round. The scanner is calibrated down to 40 to 80 thousandths of an inch, he said, making it the most accurate instrument investigators have. In the case of the King Road home, you could likely scan every room and the outside in almost 5 hours, Licio said. There's nothing like it, he said. No other instrument would give you that much data in so little time. Once the data is documented, every inch is pieced together like a puzzle, making the scene look identical to real life. But yet they were back in this property not long before it was knocked down. If they'd done all this, if they'd cut all the bits away, if they had done this terrestrial laser scan, and that could have been done in 5 hours, and we know they're in there doing these scans back in January, what were they doing in the house just prior to it going to be knocked down? The technology is able to superimpose crime scene photos down to the exact measurements because a photo will align with the data, Licio said. Other experts also use the technology during autopsies. If enough photos are taken, you can reproduce injuries on a body in 3D, he said. The images are nearly impossible to be manipulated. So here he says they're impossible to be manipulated because the data is recorded in a complicated number sequence. So again, we're going to go back down the route of like in DNA, where you have to show the chain of custody. I doubt the FBI even knows how to break into the code, or I like the fact that he talks in here, saying I doubt the FBI even knows how to break into the code. Like he's thought that that's a potential that they'd try. Even if the FBI tried to break into this, they're not going to do it. That's trusting. It is not easily extracted unless you're the manufacturer. The data also has a strict chain of custody since it's considered evidence. If any scan was missing, investigators would know, since the comprehensive model wouldn't be aligned correctly, he said. 3D scan can preserve blood splatter digitally, so it can basically give a representation of how the blood hit the walls, etc., inside this property. They may have discovered something else when looking at the scans, or missed something before and came back to get better geometry of the rooms. Well, why would they need to come back and get better geometry of the rooms if you're using a scanner that is state of the art and does it better than anything else out there? Licio said. The fact that they were already there, they likely already have that data from when the scene was active. A jury visit in the scene can always be helpful, FBI spokesperson Steve Burns said, but it is not common. The FBI's goal, Burns said, is to use technology to best represent a case to a jury that doesn't have a background in forensics. Licio said, so basically baffle them with bullshit rather than just letting someone go there and see it. Let's do it all digitally. Let's remaster it. Let's play with it, tweak it, and let them have it. Let them have it. I assume the authorities wouldn't let it go this easily if there was still more to be done. But yet, they were in the house just days before the house was demolished. If this house was truly not needed, truly it was just not needed, then why were they in there? Why did they go back? Why did they have to go back? Kohberger faces the death penalty if convicted. His trial has been postponed. There you have it. Trial has been postponed. And the house is gone. And we're still sitting here wondering what will happen in the end. We'll go through some comments before we wrap up. We've been at it for an hour. We're flying. We're flying. Time flies when we're together. Dope Soul says it perfectly. Thank you for being a fun and great community, always kind and respectful to each other. And this community is an amazing, awesome community. Do occasionally get the odd dickhead creep in. I can handle the few dickheads. It's alright to be a dickhead if you're a dickhead respectfully. Because I can be a dickhead, but I try and do it respectfully. Do you know what I mean? And I'll have a little bit of backwards and forwards. I'm not going to as much in 2024. If someone's trolling and they're just trolling for just not to be nasty, I'm not even getting involved anymore. Get on my tits. Get on my tits, I do. So I'm just going to block. But I want people to be able to disagree. I don't want people to just agree with me. But what I don't want people to be is closed-minded, you know what I mean? Just shut off completely and just think, or not think, just follow everybody else. The direction all the lemmings are going, let's just follow them and follow them straight off a cliff. And Baby Girl said, I didn't come to argue, just point out where there's rumours against facts. There's a lot of rumours and there's barely any facts. That's the fact, sadly. What do we got? Who else have we got? We got a member for 1 month. Legendary CEO, member for 1 month. We've got a few members in the house, haven't we? We've got is that MM1 Bella has also gifted 5 memberships as well. So we've been a few memberships being gifted out. Phantom67 has gifted 10 memberships as well. Thank you so much. Kristen has been a member for 4 months. We've got Karen, Texas, member for 5 months. And we've got some new members as well. Katie, Phantom, and Dark Fairy. Thank you very much. We're gonna be doing some members only lives that is going to include Mrs. Harsh. Mrs. Harsh is a bit shy, so she's not one for getting on a live when there's 1,000 people on there. She'd probably freak out. But she has agreed to do a once a month live for members only, which will be starting soon. So that is something. Member for 20 months, Jen, 20 months. You get out sooner for murder in the UK, you know? 20 months. That's a long time, isn't it? Finally caught you live. Blue-eyed Candy, finally caught alive. Good to see you here. Good to see you. I tried to pick, just as I went to click on that, it flew up the screen. So what do we got? Some final comments. We'll do some final comments, and then I'm going to love you and leave you and let you crack on. We'd like to keep the lives relatively short here because I know you guys have got other stuff to do. Law Officers of Andrew D. Myers, brilliant channel. If you haven't seen this guy and his channel, please do head over and check him out. He is a very, very professional guy who makes some very, very good points. And he says here, don't you think they have to have lots more evidence? They raided BK's parents' home after the PCA and nabbed 3 laptops and other stuff and picked up a tower computer and other stuff in his WA apartment. You are a legal expert, Andrew, and what I would say is that's all you can do, isn't it? You can think that they have. You can hope that they have, but you certainly cannot say that you know they have. That's where people get it wrong. And that's what, in my eyes, goes completely awry, isn't it? Because where people, I feel, it would be right to say exactly what you've said here. You can think. I can think that they have. I would hope that they have. Bryan Kohberger has been incarcerated for a year now, and he is facing the death penalty. He's been accused of doing this heinous crime, and he's having people all over the internet and beyond absolutely destroy his life. We've seen his family suffer. We've seen his sisters lose their jobs. So I would fucking well hope that they do have enough evidence that when it goes to court, that they can say, right, up yours, this is what we've got, there, and beyond a reasonable doubt, done, dusted, and we can say, look, we give the guy the benefit of the doubt, but they did the job, they proved it was him, it's done. I'm not going to feel bad that I give the guy the benefit of the doubt, damn well I ain't. But what you said, that statement there, is a perfect statement. You think that they have, and hope that they have, but don't say you know they have. Don't say that I know that they went into Bryan Kohberger's parents and I know they found something. I know they went into his apartment and I know they found something. They went into his car and I know they found something, because you don't. Nobody knows. And until it goes to court and that evidence is laid before everybody, all you can do is hope. All you can do is think. But hoping and thinking isn't a conclusion. It's just hopefulness and thoughtfulness. And that's what I say. Trial by ambush. Trial by ambush. And it very well could be. And could it be argued that if he did it, there's going to be some people who think, you know what, he deserved it. He did the crime and they done him. They got him. Some people say, look, that's not right. He's still... he's still entitled to his constitutional rights to be done properly, to be in this position now a year down the track, and to have been incarcerated for a year. Surely he should know what he's up against. He should know what evidence is going to be brought before him. And his team should have that information. If they don't, then that's the system being played with and being manipulated. But that's it. Do you know what I mean? It's not about me trying to be harsh or me trying to be a dick. It's just me saying that there's a difference between what people can think and what people can hope, against what people turn around and say, I know, because you don't. The only person who knows what happened is the person who done it, and that's it. And anyone that he told or she told. Nothing they found. I want a membership. I think I need, it's a bit late in the evenings here, I'd get Mrs. Harsh to gift memberships as well. I would think we're going to try and do that. I'm going to be doing lives during the day as well. We're doing the two scheduled ones, the Monday and Wednesday, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we are going to be doing them around other times as well, so people who can't make these lives can also get lives, and it's in them ones we'll gift memberships as well. Right, what else we got? Looking through some of these comments before we call it a day. Still waiting just to see the doggy. Yeah, it's difficult with the dogs because the dogs do go... they've got a bit of a routine, so... they're probably likely to be in the videos, the pre-recorded, but don't know for the foreseeable whether they'll be in the lives unless one of them has a rough night. But if it's Callie, that would be a fucking rough night because you probably turn the gaff over. Milo. Marley's not so bad. He's not so bad. He just likes to sit with you. We had a case over here. Oh, where's that just gone? I was reading that. That bloody ran off. We had a case over here. Found out was one of ex-girlfriends. Got the guy unalived, but she ended up with the other guy and had a kid plus his mate. And I've said to people who've been around this channel for a while will have heard a story that I've said. You know what I mean? I've got... not anymore because he died. Karma got him in the end. Am I from Norfolk? Yes, I am indeed from Norfolk. Yeah, I had a friend who killed someone and got away with it. He didn't set out. It wasn't like a murder, but he basically was on a motorcycle and killed a postman and got away with it. His family had money and he got away with it. And then later on down the line, he was killed himself. So it happens, do you know what I mean? It happens. I'm watching this program at the moment, Fool Me Once. I think I've just finished watching it, Fool Me Once, and there's bits in that, you know what I mean? There's a bit about a hazing. This all stems from this hazing, and there's a clip in it, and it says that money always protects money. And like we saw in the Kylie Rodney case, how that all clammed up. And I know people have got some feelings about what happened there, but you know, even when they're turning around, I know it's something it's a Harlan Coben, you know, something that's been made off of one of his books. But I think it's true. Do you know what I mean? Money protects money, and in situations where things go wrong, it's you know, money protects money, mate. Karma is a real bitch. It is. It is. Got him in the end. Got him in the end. Harsh, if you had to choose Liam or Noel. Liam every day of the week. Liam every day of the week. Question. Isn't there an 8-year-old lady missing in same place as Nicola Bulley? I'm not sure. There was Mrs. Harsh was telling me earlier there's quite a few people missing at the moment. There's a young couple not too far from us that have gone missing. I'm just going to keep an eye on it and see what happens with it. But yeah, they're quite a young couple. Let me just see if there's anything on here. I'll bring that up. Norfolk teens missing. See if that brings that up. 1 month ago. Nothing on there at the second. Not on there. I think it was in I think it was on Facebook actually. Norfolk let's see. Have a look at that. No, still nothing. Still nothing. Still nothing. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll see if I can find it and bring it. If I can, I'll do a live in the morning. She was bringing it up again. They're only young. I think they're like 14 or 15. But again, not far from me. But yeah, I think there's been a lot of people go missing. You don't hear about a lot, but a lot of people go missing. But the Nicola Bulley case was an awful case. It was horrible. It was horrible. Hello, Mary M. Smash that and show your support for Harsh Reality. Smash that thumbs up. 594 likes. And we've got 1,010 people in here. Come on, freeloaders. Get your thumb on it. Pretend you're thumbing someone's eye who you don't like. Who upset you in 2023. And with that note, I think we're about done, haven't we? Now we'll just be going around in circles. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me. We spent a little bit of time together. We're going to be doing another live on Monday. That'll be the next one on Monday. And we will still be doing the wellness lives. I know they're not for everybody, but the plan will be to potentially do that on Sunday. But keep your eyes peeled because I'll ping that up on the scheduler so you can see it. But there we go. That's it. I don't want to talk about tunnels. I've had enough of tunnels. Can't be doing with it. But again, thank you very much to the mods. Again, done a fantastic job. They are an amazing set of mods. I wouldn't change it for the world. But we do, I believe, need perhaps a couple more. Purely as well, just to be able to cover when perhaps Dope and that can't cover some other time frames as well. My only rule is that you have to have Discord. So before we go, if you can do it in time, if someone can just put the Discord link in the chat, that would be fabulous. Because if you want to be a mod, I'm going to put a post up in the community feed in the next couple of days. Keep an eye out for it. But you must have Discord, because the moderators, they run a lot of what we do in Discord. Hello, Aunt B. Hello, Aunt B. I hope you are all well, you and the family, Aunt B. And I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. I know we've spoken a bit off platform. We do talk a bit. Good to see you. Good to see you. But I'm going to say good night to everyone now. And I love you and leave you. 2 videos coming out tomorrow. And got some stuff coming up for 2024. So keep your eyes peeled. We are going to be talking about other cases. Don't worry. This isn't just going to turn into the Idaho 4 only thing. We will be talking about plenty of other stuff. So yeah, love you and leave you. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you to everybody, absolutely everybody. I appreciate all of you being here. Remember, do not worry about donations and stuff like that. It's just your time. The donation of your time is the most precious thing you can give. Time you can't get back. Money you can get back, but time you can't get back. So yeah, that's it. Love you and leave you. And I'll catch you all in the next one.